Hello, Army! Welcome to Gallery Jungkook. The photos of bodybuilder Masuho training with Taehyung and Jungkook sparked a wave of comments that continues to rage. These photos are not just random pictures but materials directly connected to the post about their joint work on August 4th. This collaboration made those who always tried to discredit Taehyung nervous for several days, unable to bear the thought of such closeness between Jungkook and Taehyung, of gestures full of tenderness and love. And this is where it gets even more interesting. It's not only about what they show but also how they show it, with a naturalness that seems impossible to fake. What's remarkable about the training photos is that, according to some observations, they were taken in Los Angeles on the same day Taehyung filmed a workout video with Jungkook. In the joint work post, there's also a photo of Taehyung with his signature teddy bear bag, an easily recognizable accessory, especially notable because the filming location strongly resembles a Los Angeles gym. Clearly, every detail is interconnected, like puzzle pieces only someone closely following their every move could piece together. Taehyung, with his unique and always striking style, proves that only he dares to walk into a gym carrying an adorable fluffy bag without losing a trace of elegance or individuality. Interestingly, upon closer inspection, one can notice that he has another bag on his other shoulder. The inevitable question arises, is it another teddy bear bag, or perhaps one with a rabbit? This simple question sparked countless comments because every one of Taehyung's accessories seems to carry special meaning, and fans don't miss a thing. And as if that weren't enough, their facial expressions are another factor that cannot be ignored. It's impossible not to stop and notice the plump lips that Taehyung and Jungkook display at different moments. Seeing them exchange charming, almost synchronized gestures enhances the perception of them as a couple. Because it's not just about one photo or moment, it's the repetition of gestures, glances, and ways of interacting that create a recognizable pattern. The naturalness of their behavior is mesmerizing, conveying the idea of an intimate bond, an emotional closeness beyond what anyone could imagine in front of a camera. Our beautiful pair, Taehyung and Jungkook, continue to connect with people precisely because of the combination of tenderness and sincerity they radiate. No matter how much others try to sow doubt or invent rumors, the truth is that every joint appearance, every gesture, every detail ultimately strengthens their bond with each other and the love viewers feel for them. Recently, many fans once again fell into despair, unable to accept the reality of their idols. Driven by envy, they want to keep pushing Taehyung into the center of the narrative. In an attempt to preserve a story that is no longer relevant, they keep creating entirely false and out-of-context edits, trying to convince others of something untrue. Ironically, those spreading this material claim they are not against Taehyung, but upon closer inspection, their comparisons and arguments are exactly the same as those of fans who deliberately spread false rumors. In other words, behind the mask of neutrality lies the same intention, to manipulate fans' perceptions. And here lies the first serious flaw: these edits cannot be trusted, because upon closer look they are full of inconsistencies. A clear example is the day Taehyung supposedly met a girl at a Tyler the Creator concert. Looking closely, it becomes clear that Taehyung wasn't wearing bracelets, although in the edit they appear artificially added. Furthermore, one can notice that the buttons on the girl's blouse are fastened the wrong way, unlike in her real outfit. These details, seemingly minor, expose the fragility of the montage. The funniest part is that out of all possible ways to prove something, this person chose a zoo photo, supposedly showing Taehyung on a date with a girl. Such a choice of scenario demonstrates a lack of creativity and utter desperation. Instead of presenting solid evidence, they resorted to an invented story that only works for those who want to believe it at all costs. And it is precisely this desperation that shows the fragility of Jungkook's narrative. They have no facts, only repetitive fabrications. Meanwhile, reality is obvious and confirmed. The company has announced that Jimin has a partner, and that is a fact. Although many try to deny, hide, or ignore it, the truth does not change because it isn't accepted. This is what most bothers those who insist on another version, no matter how often they repeat it, no matter how hard they try to sow doubts with edits and rumors, the truth remains that Jimin has a partner. And interestingly, even though this truth has been stated and confirmed, there are still those who prefer to invent parallel scenarios rather than face reality. On the other hand, when we observe the relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook, the differences are obvious. They don't need anyone to create situations or build stories around them. Their actions are straightforward, clear, and transparent. When they go out together, they reserve tables in advance, always staying private, protecting their personal space, and most importantly, their bond is supported not by fans or rumors but by what they both say in their own voices. Trust in them should be based not on what others repeat but on what Taehyung and Jungkook themselves say. Here lies the true contradiction. While Jungkook fans remain trapped in desperation, inventing false stories where there are none, Taehyung and Jungkook reveal themselves as more united and, most importantly, more in love than ever. This unity needs no artificial defense or fabricated rumors, because it sustains itself. This bond is built on facts, real moments, shared decisions that speak for themselves. And every time attempts are made to hide it with fabrications, all it does is highlight even more the difference between the fake and the real. In conclusion, the rumor-spreading strategy is clear. They use inconsistencies, crude editing, and meaningless scenarios. But the truth always prevails, and it is impossible to hide what is protected by the naturalness of gestures and the clarity of facts. Jimin has a partner, Taehyung and Jungkook continue building their path together, and meanwhile, the rumors only emphasize the desperate refusal to accept what is right in front of them. One of the strongest aspects of Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship is how they communicate without words. They don't need to say anything for their bond to be obvious. Some try to reduce everything happening between them to fan service, meant solely to entertain fans and hold public attention. However, just carefully observing them is enough to understand the difference between staged gestures and the naturalness they show when they are together. Every glance they exchange, every seemingly insignificant touch, every moment they look at each other feels like an entirely different world, with no need for a stage or an audience. Naturalness cannot be faked over and over again. When a gesture comes from the heart, it repeats itself spontaneously and effortlessly. As a result, some fan groups try to distract by insisting that Taehyung already has a girlfriend, pointing to a girl who, as we all know, has nothing to do with it. The most telling aspect of Taehyung and Jungkook's bond is not a single moment but rather the collection of many small moments which, together, form a distinct picture. At first glance, a distracted person might think it's just a spontaneous gesture. But upon closer examination, you realize there is an invisible structure behind these actions. It's not a single touch, not a single look, it's an emotional routine that repeats every time they are close, almost like an intimate habit. And that is where their relationship takes on another dimension, because what seems ordinary becomes their own language, a silent code activated again and again. Interestingly, the more you observe, the clearer it becomes that this is no coincidence. These interactions allow us to see how their bond has grown over time. In the past, these moments were short and fleeting, hard to capture, but now they have become constant, natural, and almost inevitable. Jungkook and Taehyung don't try to hide it, instead, they let it flow, both in front of and away from the camera, as if hiding it would be pointless. At the same time, Taehyung has always stood out with his unique style. A striking example is how he boldly walks into the gym with an adorable fluffy bag, without losing an ounce of elegance or individuality. Upon closer inspection, it's clear he has another bag on his other shoulder. The inevitable question arises, is it another teddy bear bag, or perhaps one with a rabbit. This detail, seemingly insignificant at first glance, symbolizes how Taehyung turns everyday life into something captivating. The funniest part is that in the context of his relationship with Jungkook, these details become even more interesting, because every object, every gesture, every repeated action demonstrates a pattern that repeats again and again. At the end of the day, no matter how many rumors circulate, no matter how many edits are fabricated, what shines through is the undeniable bond between Taehyung and Jungkook. Their connection is written not in words but in gestures, looks, and the kind of natural closeness that simply cannot be staged. And that's exactly what makes their story so captivating. It doesn't need defending, it doesn't need explanation. It speaks for itself. Thank you for watching and staying with us until the end of this video. If you want to keep following every meaningful moment, every detail, and every truth that connects Jungkook and Taehyung, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This has been Gallery Jungkook, where every frame tells a story, and the truth always finds its way to light.